Tonight on the Bigfooty Blues podcast, we take an in-depth look at the loss against Essendon, we preview the game against Hawthorn, and we give questions for Doc the Boot as it turns into a disaster. All this and more coming right up. Welcome to the 11th Big Footy Boys podcast. I know people said it couldn't be done. There were doubters. Nobody wanted to believe that we could ramble on for 11 episodes, but here we are.
Aaron Joseph, good.
And with me, as always, my partners in crime, the old Dark Navies.
Hey, well, glad I dragged myself in here this week.
And Just Battler is back.
Evening all.
And joining us, as always, our court jester, as it were, devoid of caring.
Sound like a downer. Nah, hi everyone.
Apparently I'm the only person who got any sleep today, so...
I'm good.
Excellent. Guys, we're going to get this straight, get this started straight away. Your highlights from the weekend, if you had any, try to keep relatively positive if you can. And we'll start with the old Duck Navies. What was your highlight from the weekend?
Positive highlight. Okay. I lobbied my local member to have Friday the 7th of June 2013 removed from the calendar. And I'm pretty confident that they will consider my request seriously. So there were no AFL games played last Friday night. If you told your boss he was a massive tosser last Friday before he sacked you, head on in tomorrow and ask for a pay rise. And if anybody out there had one too many drinks last Friday, made a pass at your wife's best friend and got kicked out of the house, rest assured it didn't happen. Climb in through the window tonight, slip into the matrimonial bed, and commence some serious spooning. She will respond. Apart from that, Aaron Joseph. I've got no Carlton-related highlights. I enjoyed immensely the first three quarters of our game against Essendon.
Excellent. And just a battler, your highlights from the weekend.
I love it when our players develop into genuine A-graders. This week, last Friday, I think Henderson, if there were ever any doubts from anyone out there about him being a genuine A-grader, they were dispelled. I reckon he was close to best on ground for mine. Maybe that's because I wear blue glasses. That's my highlight.
Yeah, okay. No doubt about it. Good one.
Good highlight. And devoid of caring, did you have a highlight from the weekend?
I do. I'm going to go with Aaron Joseph. No, I'm kidding. Not Aaron Joseph. No, look, I'll go with Jared Waite. Just because no one else has said Waite, I'll say 7 goals were. It's a pretty magical thing.
It was special, wasn't it?
Pretty special.
If I was in all seriousness, that would be what tickled my fancy the most.
That was awesome and good on him.
Yeah. Well, obviously, having stolen my highlight, devoid of caring, but it was the obvious highlight. If there was ever a highlight to steal, it was going to be, Jared Waite kicking his personal best score in a game.
I just couldn't believe anyone didn't say it before me. I thought, okay, rightio.
As in terms of the game, I'd have to say my highlight, otherwise, was Levi Casbolt.
Oh yeah.
10 marks, 5 contested. Pity they were all down back, so not yet really the key forward that we're hoping for to complement Jared Waite. He did kick a goal. It was very late in the game, and it was off a very poor attempted goal from Chris Yarran. But all that aside, he put in a very manful effort. I don't really agree with people saying he should be centre half back, but that's another discussion. Other than that, if he did play like centre half back, but unfortunately he was actually at centre half forward when he was doing that.
Yeah,
and
a lot easier to run from centre half forward to help out down back than it is to be stationed permanently at centre half back.
That's very much true. But before I get into that discussion, my other highlight for the week, if you've read the forum and you paid attention, I did a big post on Princess Park. And just being able to go back through the history of that for me.
You're going to get pulled up on the Princess Park.
I said Princess Park, not Princess Park.
Okay, princess.
And
Just-
A very manly princess.
just being able to go back through the history of all that and actually see what could have been if some people had been slightly more visionary, and if the ground hadn't been built on a rubbish tip, we might have actually had the MCG as it stands now, where Princess Park is today. So it's a lot of things could have been a lot different if things had gone slightly differently in the 50s, and we might have been a lot better off. Because astoundingly, the MCG wasn't anything was lesser rated than Princess Park in the early 50s, and it wasn't until the Olympic stands were actually built that the MCG took precedence. As a and I didn't know that. I've never seen it anywhere. You're looking through Wikipedia articles in the Blueseum, and it's not even mentioned. But if you and I tell you now, if you've never been through the National Library of Australia archives of the Argus, and you're at all interested in history of Victoria, you're missing out, because there's a lot of stuff in the Argus I never knew about how the ground was established, how there was big infights between the cricket club and the football club over control of the ground. And this is back in like 1907. How it was built, how basically they tried to build a temporary stadium where they weren't allowed to, and then they tried to take him to court over it. It was a fascinating thing, and that's kind of why I do that, and I have far too much spare time. But
Definitely no Aaron Joseph.
I don't.
Write a book, Whoopi.
I thought about it, and then I thought, no, I don't have that kind of commitment or that much material. But that aside,
Pamphlet.
I'd have to move back to Victoria to do something like that. I think I couldn't do that from over here. But anyway, I guess we'll move into the game review here.
Scotland kicks to half forward. Waite works brilliantly to the front. That is magnificent.
Wait for 7 then to regain the lead. Chick is on the way, and it's beautiful.
We unfortunately lost. It was a pretty devastating loss, in that we only lost by 5 points. We had the chance to take the lead through Simon White very late in the game. White, being a backman, kicked like a backman. I thought it was pretty telling that they brought up his career stats, and he'd only kicked 2 goals to that point in his entire career, and I think he did both of them in a game last year. So can't really blame White for the loss. For Carlton, White, of course, kicked 7 goals, a personal best for him. Unfortunately, he was pretty much the only person that kicked goals for us. But down back,
Had like 3 goal kickers, didn't we?
Yes, Betts kicked 1, and Garlett kicked 1 and had 1 disallowed, I believe. Oh no, sorry, and Casbolt kicked 1.
Had the other one.
And Garlett had 1 disallowed. Only time they haven't decided to use the goal review this year, and the AFL admitted today that not today, I admitted on Monday that decision was actually wrong, that it should have gone to the review. Doesn't help us now, and it didn't cost us the game. That comes down to other people, but and other decisions that were made by the team as a whole. But there we are. We lost. We lost to one of our most hated foes, as it were, and ODN, how did you see the game?
Well, as you can tell from the opening, I'm still in denial. It's still very painful. I don't know how we lost it. We had no right to lose that game. I felt we were dominant in general play for longer. We should have been a lot further in front where any sort of comeback was not possible. But you just had that feeling, when we were missing the easy kicks at goal. Just making some bad decisions, heading into open space in the forward line and turning it over. And you just had that feeling that, we shouldn't be letting these guys back in. We know they came back against Freo over there this year. We know that they seem to be running games out for whatever reason a lot better than most this year. And it just really sat uneasy with me. And when they started coming back, unlike the Lions, where I thought we had the ability to stop because they're not as high quality, I wasn't surprised when they overtook us. It shouldn't have happened. Anyway, I just want to make a mention on the game, Carlisle got a lot of credit for his early work on Waite, first few contests, and then he was well beaten by Waite and got shifted, and he was talked up as being some superhero on the day just because he had late effect in the game, and talked about as I just don't believe you can get thrashed thrashed to an extent that you're shifted off of somebody like Waite and then get talked up as being an AA fullback after that. He was good, but I just thought it was a little bit of overkill. A lot of their players seem to get talked up a bit, while players like Jemison and Henderson don't get the plaudits. So, it's okay it's easy enough to punch the ball, but it's harder to beat people 1-on-1 and take contested marks on them and stuff. And he didn't do a lot of that while he was in our forward line anyway. We let Melksham off the chain. Just like fair dinkum, how do we let these players that are much maligned at their own clubs by their own supporter base? How do we let them off? Seem to play them back into form. At least one player every time we play. It just seems to be the Carlton thing to do. And look, at the end of the day, we stopped to a war and we turned to water.
Yeah, I noticed the Essendon board today has an apology to Melksham thread.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
There we are.
Look, Cruiser and Casbolt were a decent enough combination. Casbolt doesn't do as much with his taps, and that may hurt us a little bit at times. He's sort of a bit hit and miss as far as when he goes into the ruck. There's an argument we do lose a little bit of momentum, but what he is undeniable, what he does around the ground. So I felt we needed one extra tall in the game going into it. I think I said it. I said it last podcast that we should think about bringing another tall in, whether that be Hampson, Warnock, Rowe, whoever, because of Essendon's height. And 24 contested marks to 20 our way. It was definitely a game for talls.
Yeah.
And I think we probably needed another one that could pinch hit somewhere and maybe do what Carlisle ended up doing when he went forward.
Okay. Devoid of caring, how did you see the game?
I don't know. Come back to me.
Okay.
Dissect the player.
Just about. How did you see the game, mate?
Yeah, I thought the game actually turned end of quarter two when we gave them 2 quick goals in 2 minutes. It's at that point where I thought, oh yeah, we've got a lead, but these guys, they still haven't got the killer instinct. We came out and, did an okay job in the third quarter, and I thought, yeah, we'll hold this lead, but I was seeing stuff all over the park that was really pissing me off.
It's just little brain farts that seem to happen.
I actually think it's...
Do you reckon it's more?
No, I reckon there are certain players in the team that are habitual bludgers.
Name him, Jeff.
We ran out of legs in the fourth quarter. So I know somebody previously mentioned Essendon are running out the games better than most. Well, it was very obvious in that game. To the extent that I can't remember winning a clearance in the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Mm.
And I was sort of, that's the top line wavelength pattern I see. If I want to go into specific incidents, Essendon were not the better team on the day or the night, but they get the 4 points. And if they get the 4 points based on stuff that should not be tolerated, that hurts even more. So, I'll just spend a minute on the Henderson-Yarran scenario, okay? That Henderson, I think if you watch the video replay, it's at least 10 seconds fighting, having to decide whether to let the ball through in the first place and even up the scores, or take them on and keep the point up our sleeve. He takes the brave decision, and it takes him about around 10 seconds, during which time not one Carlton player came up to put in a hip, a shoulder, or a block. If that was done, that ball would have been cleared, and we would have won the game. It's not Henderson's fault. It's not Yaron's fault. It's we had no legs in that last 10 minutes, not even to support a player under emergency conditions. It wasn't like it was a quick break that ended up in that situation. And then to compound it, what really pissed me off was, okay, Yaron doesn't get the mark. I'm sure that he was calling for a longer ball, but whatever. He doesn't get the mark. He loses the mark. Where was the inside cover for the obvious cross kick? What was everybody doing? What was everybody thinking? Where was the leadership? I reckon Malthouse, that's probably the most disappointing game for Malthouse year to date. And I could tell from his body language that he was very disappointed. And it wasn't about Yaron having the sooks. We should not have lost that game.
I was just astounded that players were falling over. Like, a lot of them. Like Murphy fell over, Lucas fell over.
It's just pathetic. Like, you can run out 4 quarters or fuck off.
No, I mean they literally slipped over a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Like they
I
were
know
wearing the
what you
wrong
mean.
boots or something.
That's just a sign of bloody. They just don't have that fighting instinct. So too many of the players are weak.
I think for me, the biggest thing that cost us the game was we kicked ourselves out of it. Lucas had an open shot at goal. McLean missed an open shot at goal. Cruiser missed a snap or two. Like, just there's a couple of things. Like there's a fundamental
problem. More than 30 metres.
Judd.
Yeah, he's gone.
I wouldn't go
he can't
that
kick
far.
the ball longer than 30 metres. He can't. He shouldn't try and kick it from 50 metres out.
Well, he's done it before. He did it last year against North Melbourne, but
yeah.
And he did it on the run. In fact, an exact mirror thing that he missed on the weekend, but he kicked the goal last time. I think there's a team issue with goal kicking.
Definitely.
We've missed that many easy shots that it's a joke.
But does this go? I reckon this goes down to the whole mentality thing yet again.
It's mentality, but there's no doubt. But on the forum, you'll read a lot of posters. Let's bring the forum into it. Who I think quite rightly are saying they're not getting good
instruction.
Say that again.
Instruction from.
No, not instruction. Yeah. I don't know about that, but they're not getting, good feed, good delivery. I think people will use that expression.
Yeah, but we're talking about midfielders that are running in, getting their own ball and missing easy set shots.
Correct.
Not about the feed that they're getting. This is about people missing set shots from 6 or 7 metres out. Like Lucas was on the run, and I hate having a go at him because other people have been having a go at his tackling all year, and while that's an issue, it's not so much that it overrides his positive side of things. He does generate a lot of run. He does get a lot of the ball, but his miss on Friday night from about 5 metres out into an open goal,
it's an insult,
was pathetic in terms of a professional footballer. And McLean did the same thing. He tried to snap it, he missed it, and he was about the same distance out. Yeah, the angle's big, but you don't miss those kind of shots. It's just it's annoying, and it's as a football supporter and as a Carlton supporter, you sit there and you just go, how the hell can you guys get paid
Correct.
150 to 200 grand a year and not know how to kick a goddamn football? It is the most frustrating thing about watching Carlton at the moment for me. It is not the fact that, our guys aren't sticking tackles. That's annoying but can be fixed. It's the fact that our guys cannot kick for goal to save themselves.
But they can do it around the ground, Wookie.
For every 10 goals we kick at least 15 points.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on there?
They can spot each other up around the ground. So when they get in front of goal, when there's something on the line, are they crapping their decks? I mean, is that what's happening?
I'm
thinking
fragile.
There is something there. There is something there that there are slight brain farts at very, very
all beating
moments where we need them to stand up.
You're all beating around the bush. You know why they can't execute? Because there's a lot of weak players at Carlton, gentlemen. You don't like hearing it. It's a fact. Weak. I don't mean physically weak. I mean mentally.
You mean mentally weak? Yeah, that's.
I heard there's a mental fragility there. I believe that mental fragility costs Wagner's job. Okay, because the wanted results and didn't like the inconsistency of last year. That inconsistency didn't come from the coach. It came from exactly what we're seeing this year: an inability to finish off matches, an inability to kick the goals that matter, and that's got to come down to strength between the ears, and it's got to come down to leadership. We have some players who I consider tough as nails and could become good leaders. But I tell you what, you only need to have a maybe a 10-20% drop off somewhere in your team, have a few weak links, and you're only as good as your weakest link.
This is the Carlton News for Wednesday, June the 12th, 2013. And Mick Malthouse will coach his 850th game, and Chris Judd will play his 250th game against the Hawks this weekend. Mick Malthouse says that Chris Yarran has learnt from his behaviour against Essendon and said he apologised after being criticised for poor body language in the final quarter against Essendon. Carlton expects ruckman Robert Warnock to be available for selection after suffering a knock to the knee, while Andrew Carazzo must pass a fitness test after missing a month of football with a calf strain. Sadly for Patrick McCarthy, a recurrent stress injury in his foot will place him out for another 8 weeks. Jared Waite is easily this week's Bigfooty Blues Player of the Year nomination after his career-best 7-goal haul against Essendon. Jared Kashia is the board's nomination for Best New Blue after his shutdown role on Jobe Watson. The AFL has admitted the decision not to review Jeff Garlett's controversial disallowed goal was in error. Congratulations to Zach Toohey, who this week signed a new 3-year deal, keeping him at Carlton until the end of 2016. The Blues also expect restricted free agent Eddie Betts to resign shortly. Finally, this weekend Carlton players will wear black armbands to honour the memory of former Carlton player Harvey Dunn Jr. Mr Dunn passed away earlier this week and was the first player ever drafted under the father-son rule, debuting against Collingwood in 1951. Mr Dunn's father, also Mr Dunn, played 71 games in the Navy Blue, debuting in 1924. And this has been the Carlton News.
Nice. Can I just? I just got an email from Mr. Carlton suing Doc for liberal use of the words Aaron Joseph.
All right, guys. We've got a big game this Friday night. It's one of our bogey teams. And that would be, of course, Hawthorn. We haven't beaten them for some time. How are we seeing the Hawthorn game on Friday night, devoid of caring?
I'm seeing Aaron Joseph.
Are you now?
I don't know.
Also, just on Aaron Joseph, I am delighted to see that Malthouse is not going back to the old fallback players to fill the gaps when we have problems.
Well,
he's not going back to Aaron Joseph all the time.
All the time, no. But
he has been there, but he's not. There were always players we'd call back. Marcus Davies, Aaron Joseph.
If you bring Aaron Joseph in, who does he take out?
Well,
that's kind of.
It was always kind of him and Armfield that were battling for position in that whole defensive tagging role. But Armfield is way past wherever Aaron Joseph was last year. Way past. Anyway, how do you see the game this weekend, Odeon?
Hawthorn love a contest. They won't balk when the pressure's on. I look at it on paper, and whether I've got navy blue glasses on or not, I see us as being fairly having just as many guns and just as many options as the Hawks in different areas. But we don't have the steel that they have. And I see a lot of their lesser lights that can come into the side, and they just seem to switch on from the word go. Look, their development seems ahead of us in a lot of ways. They're very solid in the midfield. The likes of Lewis and Sewell and Hodge getting pushed through there. the extra outside class players like Burgoyne.
Virtual.
And Virtual, yeah, down which he'll probably be in defence, but midfield. Mitchell, sorry,
Rotates through there a bit though, doesn't he?
about Virtual.
Ah, talking
Mitchell.
about Birch.
Virtual, yeah, he does, yeah. Oh God, I'm trying to come up with a way where we can win, but quite frankly, what have we lost 9 in a row against these guys?
Yeah.
Is it 9? Is it 9?
We've
I've
lost,
long said,
I think, since
Yeah,
2004. I think we've lost every game.
look, and there was one year there they started ridiculously, lost 6 of the first 6 games, or they won from 8 or something like that, and then they played us, and we played them back into form, and they beat us by about 9 goals, and
I remember that game.
yeah, it's like they beat up on us so badly, and I think that might be one of the games where Big Satan played on in the goal square and totally mucked one up as well. And we've got him covered in the ruck. Hale and Grimley versus whatever combination we choose. I'm not sure I'm not sure whether Warnock will come back in, or whether we want that mobility, or whether we think, well, that's a strength from us, so we'll try and take advantage in the ruck just because we're scared of their midfield. I don't know. That might be something that they'll look at. I wouldn't like to see Casbolt dropped, and I don't really want to see Cruiser not be in the middle of the ground, because he's been fantastic the last couple of weeks. What have they got? Lake down there to take on, no doubt, take on Jared Waite. And we've got Henderson, probably Henderson to be following Franklin around, except when he's playing really close out of the goal square, in which case they'll switch over and Jamo will take him. But I see, I'm really full of positives, aren't I?
Just before you go on, interestingly enough, since 2008, there seems to be a pattern to how much they beat us by. In 2008, it was 70 odd points.
Yeah.
And in 2008 it was 70 points. In 2009 it was only 4 points. In 2010 it was 50 points. In 2011 it was 12 points, and in 2012 it was 50 points again. So we go from this flogging to a small margin, and this year we're due for a small margin.
So a small margin against a genuine top 8 club.
It's a small margin year. That's how I'm viewing it.
It's not one we generally come out in front of, is it? At the moment?
That's the positive for you. It's the small margin year this year.
Look, if we play how we did for a game where we're, there's no doubt
You're breaking up, Dan.
Yeah, you're breaking up pretty badly, Odeon.
Okay, I can't hear anything. I don't know what's going on there.
We might just I might just get some feedback from just a battler on this.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the game against Hawthorn, mate?
I think I've always thought for years now that Hawthorn are the benchmark team in the competition. If they come out with a decent list and they play a decent game, if you can beat them, then you're a contender. And they're a ruthless team. They actually like winning, and they play very much as a team, and they love the opportunity to go in hard. You know, they're a very honest team, and they got some superstars. So that's always been the benchmark. Personally, I think we're years away from that benchmark, at least 1 or 2 years. Yes, we matched them in a lot of places around the ground, but if every one of our players played their best game and every one of their players played their best game, I reckon they win. Purely because, as you've been saying, Adrian, we really, 3 talls in the forward 50 is a must under a Malthouse type game plan, and 3 really good backs, talls, are a must under the same game plan. And I reckon we're 1 or 2, we're 1 tall in the back and 1 tall in the front, short of a structure that can actually contend against a really good side like Hawthorn. I'm not as concerned about playing Sydney as I am about Hawthorn. So if we only lose by a goal or two, that would be a great result.
Okay.
Sounds a bit depressing, doesn't it?
It's very depressing.
Just historically, we've played 159 games against Hawthorn. We've won 102 and lost 57. And in the last couple of years, we're 0-5 against them, obviously. What do we think the margins are going to be on this game, guys? How much are we going to lose by?
Can't tip a loss, mate.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm tipping a win. That's all right. Not.
Look, if we made a sterner stuff, then we'll come out and we will win.
I'm tipping a win, and
Well, say why we're going to win, Wookie.
I'm tipping a win.
How are we going to win? What's going to win it for us?
We're gonna win because I don't think our midfield is going to put on a performance like it did this weekend. Our midfield is lifting. Murphy had a great game on the weekend. Judd had a good game. I mean, even if we did miss a shot of goal, he still had a good game. If you watch the replay, he's in, he's doing stuff, he's getting the ball out. Murphy had a good game. Kashia is coming along in leaps and bounds.
He's fantastic. Karchia's fantastic.
We have the team to do this if our forwards can deliver.
I think you can give Gibbs some credit there for.
Gibbs had a fantastic game in the second half. His last quarter work was pretty damn awesome.
Very good in traffic, in close, the clearances. It was at the stoppages. He was very good, wasn't he? So in the last quarter.
Waite is an unbelievably good target that is only going to get better if he can get constant games into him. If he can stay fit, anything is possible up forward for us. You've got Casbolt now. If he can do the same things up forward that he was doing down back last week, that's great. But if he can't, then we've got to get someone who can. Now, if that means Henderson's got to go forward and Casbolt plays centre half back, I think we're in trouble.
Yep.
Casbolt. Laidler or Dugan come in.
Laidler's not as good a defender as Henderson is. People that want to sacrifice Henderson to go forward and put Watson in or Laidler in or Dygan in are misunderstanding just how important a solid back six is.
No, I agree with you, mate. I'm just saying we don't have options.
I saw that someone was saying that we should send Henderson forward and drop Laidler back. I think it was.
Yep.
You're nuts. We built our last premiership on a solid back six that later we put and then we finished the team off later by putting Earl Spalding forward. But we had that back six settled first.
Henderson is a modern day Silvani. Now, I don't mean in terms of quality. I'm not going to make any big calls on that. But as far as a swingman, where if the game we need an injection of something up forward, and you're going to roll a dice, you can throw Henderson forward, and he looks like he's going to be able to do the job. Have not been stuck up there all day with the defender leaning on him. Just
Sorry, keep on.
You know who I'd like to see at centre half?
Yeah.
I'd like to see Jamo given a crack at centre half forward.
Jamo.
We've played him up forward. We've played him up forward a couple of games.
We played him up forward against Hawthorn, and I think he kicked 3 or something. But
look, I think those two are just dead set freaks. I mean, it doesn't matter. Look, Jamo, how many times have we seen him, hurt his shoulders or something for the whole game? And he just stays out there and he just keeps on playing.
He never panics.
Regardless. Never panics.
He's
always calm and
he's always in
about
control.
It. And then you got Hendo on the other end. That St Kilda game, he got destroyed down back.
Yeah, but by the same token, he's destroyed Rewald at other times.
Yeah, Henderson. Of course he has. I wasn't suggesting that he always gets his ass kicked, but I mean, he went from being destroyed in that game to going up forward and then booting 3 goals himself.
It makes you wonder if perhaps Waite and Henderson can be interchanged at points, or is Waite's position set in concrete because of his injuries? Because they have not sent him.
Think about it this way, though, right? If you go and analyse all the videotapes in terms of how we structure up in the forward 50 and how defences structure up against us, in that first quarter, just to make it near everybody's minds, Waite couldn't get a mark because he was being triple teamed.
Yeah.
Remember that the first part of the first quarter?
Yep.
Now, that happens to us week in, week out.
Oh, it does.
And you know why? Yes, you can say a simple thing like we miss a lot of kicks, right? But here's the facts. It's the kicks that we can't make that is hurting us.
Yep.
And by that I mean this. Seriously, we do not have a set shot kicker who you can say is better than a 50-50 chance, let alone being a 65-35 chance, to kick a goal from 40 or 50 metres, let alone 55.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to think about that for a minute and what that means. That means the effective forward part of our ground for us, given our abilities in kicking, is really 30 metres out from goal.
Yep.
There's no wonder why we don't take a lot, why we aren't gifted so many marks in the pockets.
We're easy to
not
defend
scared
against.
of us getting the ball 40 metres out on a mark.
Mm.
And that is a telling statistic. I've looked at every one of our games this year from that perspective. And yes, Gibbs has kicked one, maybe two on the run.
Tui
He's
does it a
somebody
fair
that
bit.
can kick. Tui's kicked one, maybe two. But we don't have 5 or 6 players that can do it. Most teams do.
Yeah, Wade doesn't kick from outside
And
50
that
ever.
means all our attack is compressed in a relatively smaller area. Right? That makes it devastatingly easy to defend against us.
That's why I was always laughing when Hampson would take shots from outside 50. Not because he's the only player that would do it either. But, because he was.
How would we go with Tui? Throwing Tui up into half forward, high half forward, something like that.
Here's the thing, right? I reckon that's a core skill missing from too many of our midfielders.
Yeah.
Because that's where midfielders generally get goals. It's from 40 or 50 metres out.
Murphy does do that, though.
Murphy does occasionally, okay? But Robbo can't do that anymore. Karcher, I don't think is a good kicker. Well, maybe he's okay set shot, but he's not a running kick. McLean can't kick 50 metres out. No way. And I reckon he's one of our better players at the moment by a long way. There aren't enough guys that can do it. Cruiser used to be a great kick. He can't even kick them from 20 metres out now.
Struck off. Yeah.
And then now think about what's happened to our structure. The guy that used to fill that gap was Walker.
Yeah.
Now we haven't had a Walker who effectively played as a second tall.
Yeah.
We are missing a second tall, if for no other reason than to suck some of that that can actually kick from 40, to suck some of that defence away from 20 metres from goal. All half our goals are running, kicking goals.
Quick one, because Wookie's going to wrap this up because he's got to go. Quick one is, will Carazzo come back and should he play VFL?
Carazzo should go back to the VFL.
I reckon he should
There's
too.
no way he can be match fit. If he's had a calf injury for the last month, there is no way he can be match fit. Board talk, ODN.
I got no idea who.
Do we have anything from the boards this week? Is the Sean Hampson thread living on?
The Sean Hampson thread, no, it's died off. And the main couple of defenders on Sean Hampson have probably been a bit quiet this week since
I'll give it a bump.
Hampson didn't get in the best of the VFL again.
That's true. He wasn't even mentioned.
So our only saving grace is that Warnock hasn't been playing, so we've got nothing to compare it to.
I think we've all moved on to picking on Yaron and Lucas this week, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had a lot of. There's been a lot of angst, obviously, in regards to the Essendon thread, which is the Essendon game, and those Essendon threads have continued on throughout the week, and there's still plenty of heat around, and
plenty of angst.
We need a win on Friday night to make it go away.
Man, you're breaking up. Anyway,
oh God.
Guys, if just before we go, if you haven't got your membership yet, time is running out for them to be counted in this year's membership totals.
Come on, people.
So if you haven't got your membership, you've still got your chance to get your Blockbuster memberships, I think. So go to imcarlton.com.au and get your Blues membership as soon as you can. As we march on towards 50,000. Guys, I'm going to have to say goodnight here. So I'll say goodnight to ODN.
Good night.
And I'll say goodnight to Devoid of Caring.
Good night, people.
And thank you once again for coming on Just a Battler. Your input, as always, has been valued.
Thank you, Wookie, and good night, everybody.
Notice I didn't say that to anyone else either.
No, I
Yeah,
noticed.
well,
I
I know
take
my
everyone else
vote isn't valued.
Taking everyone else
My
for granted,
opinion, I
that's
should
what
say.
that's how
Aaron
I'm
Joseph.
rolling. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the forums.
See you, Aaron Joseph.